Hartford, Wisconsin. Population 14,000. The kind of town where Friday night lights matter more than police sirens, where neighbors wave from porches and kids ride bikes until the streetlights flicker on. For 3 decades, this town hadn't recorded a single murder. July 15th, 2013.
Hartford 911, what's the location of your emergency?
My daughter is blue. I went to wake her up, and I just got home from lunch, and she won't wake up.
Okay, so is she breathing?
I don't think so, no. Jessie, she's cold.
She's cold?
She's cold. Oh, my God. Her pants are all wet, and she's got, it looks like strangulation marks.
There are strangulation marks?
That's what it looks like. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Honey. No. No. Honey, no.
8:47 a.m. Joy Blodgett had climbed the stairs to her daughter's bedroom. Jessie had been out late the night before, a cast party celebrating opening weekend of Fiddler on the Roof. Joy expected the usual: clothes on the floor, makeup scattered across the dresser, her theater-obsessed daughter still buried under blankets. She pushed open the door. The room was spotless, too spotless. The bed was made with military precision. Hospital corners, not a single wrinkle, the kind of perfection that makes your stomach drop because it's wrong. Joy approached. She pulled back the covers. Jessie was underneath, still dressed, eyes closed, skin the color of a winter sky. Joy screamed her daughter's name. No response. She reached for Jessie's hand. It was cold, stiff, and wet. Jessie's hair was damp against the pillow. Her clothes were soaking through the sheets. And around her neck, carved deep into the flesh, were purple-black grooves, the signature of a ligature that had squeezed the life out of her, slowly, deliberately. Someone hadn't just killed Jesse Blodgett. They had bathed her, dressed her, tucked her in like a porcelain doll. And then they walked out the unlocked door into the Wisconsin morning, leaving behind a crime scene so meticulously staged, it looked like a Broadway finale. To understand why Jessie died, you need to understand what she was. Jesse Marietta Blodgett was brilliant. Not in the casual way people use that word, actually brilliant. At age 4, while other kids struggled with dog and cat, Jessie was spelling metamorphosis. At 7, she was composing piano pieces that made her teachers weep. By 19, she had her own studio with 30 music students, was a sophomore at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and was the star of her local theater company. She wasn't just talented, she was magnetic. The kind of person who walked into a room and the air changed. Directors fought to cast her. Students begged to study with her. Her diary entries read like poetry, raw, honest, fearless. But brilliance has a shadow, and in the theater world, that shadow has teeth. July 14th, 2013, the night before her murder. Jessie attended the cast party for Fiddler on the Roof at a fellow actor's house. She should have been celebrating. The show had been a triumph. The standing ovation still echoed in her ears. Instead, she came home shaken. She told her mother that older men in their 40s, had been inappropriate with her all night, pulling her onto laps, making comments, touching her in ways that made her skin crawl. These weren't strangers. These were people she trusted. Community theater veterans, men who smiled at her parents during intermission. That night, Jessie wrote in her diary, "I think certain men are perverting platonic love into a competition. I will recognize problems and confront them without fear." She signed off, brushed her teeth, went to bed thinking her enemies were the creeps at the party, middle-aged predators who couldn't take no for an answer. She had no idea the real monster was already inside the house. When Hartford police arrived at the Blodgett home, they expected a break-in, an intruder, random violence. What they found was choreography. No forced entry. Every door and window was secure. The Blodgett, like most families in Hartford, didn't lock their doors. The killer didn't need to break in. He was invited.
12 News' Christina Palladino is live in Hartford tonight. And Christina, police gave an update on the investigation, but it's providing little comfort.
Yeah, the latest from the Hartford Police Department here tonight is an email that we got on our phones earlier today. They had no updates on the investigation, but they did want to stress to the community there is no threat here in the Hartford area. Now, I spoke with several of Jesse Blodgett's friends tonight. They tell me she had no enemies, and they are trying to understand how this could have happened to her. Showing off her piano playing skills with her close pals was something Jesse Blodgett and this group of friends used to always do. But the last week and a half has been devastating to get through. They're in disbelief of Jesse's murder, and they're sticking close together.
She definitely made whoever she was talking to feel like they were the only person in the room.
Jacqueline was one of Jesse's best friends growing up together in Hartford. In fact, Jesse's parents asked her to paint this portrait of Jesse for her funeral. Jacqueline tells me she stayed up all night to do it.
I wanted to paint her. I've always wanted to paint her, so it was definitely a work of love.
Jacqueline and her friends say learning of Jesse's murder was shocking. The 19-year-old was found dead in her bed by her mother more than a week ago with strangulation marks to her neck. She had come home from a cast party for the local production of Fiddler on the Roof hours before. Police have only said they're in the process of an active investigation and that the public is not in danger. Jeremy Zellman is another friend from Hartford and studied music with Jesse at UW-Milwaukee.
I was just sort of in denial, I think. I mean, just because I can't imagine anybody who would wish anything ill against Jesse.
And according to court documents, police have interviewed at least one person of interest. Several search warrants were returned yesterday, but they have now been sealed. An autopsy on Jesse was completed, but it's not being released at this time. We're live at the Hartford Police Department. Christina Palladino, WISN 12 News.
Jesse's body showed the timeline of torture. Forensic analysis revealed she had been attacked around 2 a.m. But she didn't die quickly. The medical examiner's report was a horror novel. Ligature marks on wrists and ankles, hog-tied with rope, tape residue around her mouth. She had been gagged. Petechial hemorrhaging in her eyes, strangulation, signs of sexual assault. Time of death, estimated between 3 and 4 a.m. After Jesse died, the killer stayed for hours. He didn't panic. He didn't run. He undressed her, carried her to the bathroom, washed her body clean, scrubbing away DNA evidence, sweat, saliva. He shampooed her hair. He dressed her in fresh clothes. He carried her back to bed and tucked her in with the precision of a funeral director. Under the bed, investigators found a roll of tape that didn't belong to the family. It matched the adhesive residue on Jesse's face. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was a performance. Someone had planned every act, every scene, every transition. Someone who understood theater intimately. Someone who knew that the best performances leave the audience breathless. Someone who had access to the house. Someone who could move through the community invisibly. What he didn't know yet was that the killer was sitting in the Blodgett living room, crying genuine tears, while detectives processed the crime scene upstairs. 2 miles from the Blodgett home, 4 days before Jesse's murder, a woman named Melissa Richards was jogging through Richfield Park. It was dusk. The trail was empty. Melissa saw a young man approaching from the opposite direction. White, early 20s, tall, wearing a backpack. They passed each other. Melissa heard footsteps behind her. Faster now. She turned. He had a knife. Melissa is a fighter. She kicked, screamed, clawed at his face. The attacker panicked and ran to his vehicle, a blue Dodge minivan.
A white male, 18 to 20 years of age, 6'2", 210 pounds.
Yep.
He had light blonde hair with very fair skin.
Yes.
Okay, and you said he had checkered shorts?
Plaid shorts, dark blue minivan, Dodge Caravan. I don't know what year. An older model though.
When Detective Thayer learned about this attack, something clicked. The victim profile matched Jesse. The location was close. The timing fit. They ran the plates on the blue minivan. Registered owner, Daniel Bartelt, age 19, Hartford resident, theater enthusiast. Thayer pulled Bartelt's file. Clean record, honor student, no red flags. But the van connected him to an attempted assault. That was enough for a conversation. When detectives called Bartelt to request an interview, they asked where he was. "I'm at the Blodgett house," he said calmly, "paying my respects." Thayer's stomach dropped. When officers arrived at the Blodgett home, they found Daniel Bartelt sitting on the couch between Jesse's parents, Buck and Joy. He was holding their hands. His eyes were red. His voice cracked as he shared the memories of his dear friend Jessie. Buck later described him as genuinely devastated. Joy said he seemed like he'd lost a sister. Daniel told them he had written songs with Jessie just weeks earlier, that she was one of the most talented people he'd ever met, that Hartford would never be the same without her light. He was the perfect mourner. But Detective Thayer noticed something. While other friends and family were crying, shaking, barely able to speak, Daniel's grief was performative. His pauses were too calculated, his word choices too careful, his tears too perfectly timed. Thayer asked Daniel to come to the station for a voluntary interview. "Just to help us understand Jesse's social circle," he said. Daniel agreed immediately. Anything to help find who did this. July 17, 2013. Hartford Police Department, Interrogation Room 2. Daniel Bartelt sat across from Detective Thayer and Neffy FBI Special Agent Tom Lent. He was calm, cooperative. His hands rested casually on the table. Thayer started gently. Background questions. Relationship with Jessie. Daniel explained they had dated briefly a year ago. It ended amicably. They remained friends, collaborated on music projects. He saw her at the cast party the night she died, but left early. "Why did you leave early?" Thayer asked. "I wasn't feeling well. Social anxiety." "Did you notice anything unusual about Jessie that night?" "She seemed happy, radiant. She always was." Thayer leaned forward. "Daniel, we found evidence that Jessie was sexually assaulted before she died." Daniel's face remained neutral, too neutral. "That's horrific," he said quietly. "Who would rape and murder someone like Jessie?" The room went silent. Detective Thayer and Agent Lent exchanged a glance. The medical examiner's report hadn't been released to the public. The press knew Jessie was dead. They knew it was a homicide. They did not know about the sexual assault. Thayer's voice dropped. "Daniel, how did you know she was raped?" For the first time, Daniel's mask cracked. His eyes widened, just a fraction. His jaw tightened. I assumed. I mean, when a young woman is murdered, isn't that usually—" "No, Daniel, it's not." The interrogation lasted 4 more hours. Daniel's story unraveled like a poorly written script. Contradictions, timeline gaps, suspicious knowledge of crime scene details. Finally, Thayer played his ace. "We have a warrant for your laptop, your phone, and your vehicle. We're executing it right now." Daniel's face went white. What they found on Daniel Bartelt's devices wasn't evidence. It was a blueprint. Search history, recent. Serial killers by victim count. Most prolific stranglers. Snuff film reel. How long does strangulation take? Cleaning DNA evidence. Downloaded videos. Multiple files showing real or simulated violent sexual assaults. One video, viewed 17 times in the week before Jesse's murder, showed a woman being bound, assaulted, strangled, washed post-mortem, and placed in a bed. Daniel hadn't just committed murder, he had studied for it. Personal documents. Investigators found a manuscript on his hard drive. The file was titled "Red is Red." It was a horror novel about a serial killer named Daniel who targets theater students. The first victim was named Jessica. The description of her assault matched Jesse Blodgett autopsy report, down to the ligature marks and post-mortem washing. He had written the script before he performed it. On July 18, 2013, Daniel Bartelt was arrested and charged with first-degree intentional homicide, sexual assault, and attempted homicide of Melissa Richards. His response? "I want my lawyer." The nice guy, the honor student, the theater kid who sang duets with Jessie. He was a predator who had spent months, maybe years, fantasizing about this moment, researching, planning, waiting for the perfect stage. April 2014, Washington County Circuit Court. The trial of Daniel Bartelt was a media firestorm. The small-town boy who became a monster. The theater kids who shared a stage before one became a corpse and the other became a killer. The prosecution's case was airtight. DNA evidence linking Daniel to Jesse's body. Digital evidence showing premeditation. Melissa Richards' testimony about the attempted assault. The blue van connecting both crimes. Daniel's own slip in the interrogation room. The defense had nothing. They couldn't deny the evidence. They pivoted to mental health, suggesting Daniel suffered from dissociative episodes and didn't understand his actions. The jury didn't buy it, but what haunted the courtroom wasn't the verdict. It was Daniel's allocution, his final statement before sentencing. Most defendants show remorse, apologize to the victims' families, beg for mercy. Daniel Bartelt gave a performance. He rambled for 12 minutes. His tone was detached, almost philosophical. He quoted Nietzsche. He referenced theatrical concepts. He said he had a disgustingly innate ability to lie, and that he pitied the court for having to witness such a spectacle.
Buck, Joy, I can't give you the answers that you're looking for. You say how you count the days and the hours, and I do too. I have every day. There's no hiding from yourself in a tiny concrete cell. I have a disgustingly innate ability to lie to myself that I have exercised far too many times in my life, but I refuse to hurt someone other than myself by doing that. This jumpsuit that I'm wearing, these shackles that I'm put in, don't make me guilty. And I know there's evidence that I can't refute that would make you believe that I am guilty. I know that you feel I may have enjoyed how painful this process was for some of you, and at my worst, I've had that quality. I've made terrible mistakes along that line, but the only reason that I went to trial at all is because I was told I would not be allowed to make an Alford plea, to acknowledge that I couldn't refute the evidence and just accept sentencing without saying that I'd done something I hadn't. If I could have done that, I wouldn't have put any of you through this or my family. Judge Martins, for what you represent, I'm not trying to be combative, but I don't know whether I should fear you or loathe you. I struggle to understand someone who has, that any human should be given the ability to condemn his fellow man. But I do know that I pity you. I don't blame you for any of this, and I think you've been extremely fair given what you have to work with. I can't prove that I'm innocent to anyone, not even myself. I can't prove that Jessie was a beautiful person, though she was, and I still remember her. I can't prove that a sun that I haven't seen for over 400 days still even rises and sets, but I like to believe that it does. Buck, again, I think it's incredible that such ugliness has begotten such beauty, and I've seen that from your entire family. I saw that the day after Jessie died when I was with you. I pray for you, for all of you, and I hope that, I believe that someday I will be before a court that will know that my conscience is clear. I love you, and I'm so sorry for your loss.
At one point he snorted, actually laughed, while describing his psychological complexities. The gallery was silent. Jessie's mother, Joy, wept. Her father, Buck, stared at Daniel with an expression that transcended anger. Judge James Kiefer's voice was ice. Mr. Bartelt, I have presided over many cases. I have never encountered someone so devoid of genuine human empathy. You are a danger to every person you encounter. This court sentences you to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Daniel showed no emotion. He was escorted out in handcuffs, his face blank. The curtain finally closed. After the sentencing, Buck Blodgett requested to make a statement. He walked to the microphone. His hands shook. His voice cracked. And then he said something that no one expected. Daniel, I forgive you. The courtroom erupted in gasps. Buck continued. I forgive you not because you deserve it, not because what you did was forgivable, but because holding on to hatred will destroy me the way your hatred destroyed Jessie. My daughter believed in confronting darkness with light. I choose to honor her by doing the same. It was an act of grace that defied human nature. The Blodgett channeled their grief into action. They founded the Love is Greater Than Hate Project, a nonprofit dedicated to ending violence against women and supporting survivors of assault. Jessie's final diary entry, the one about confronting problems without fear, became the organization's mission statement. Her music was compiled into an album, with proceeds funding self-defense classes, therapy programs, and advocacy work. Every year on July 15th, Hartford holds a vigil. Hundreds gather with candles. They sing Jessie's compositions, they share stories, and they remember that even in the darkest tragedy, love can outshine hate. Jessie Blodgett spent 19 years lighting up stages. Her final performance, exposing a monster who hid among friends, continues to save lives. Daniel Bartelt will die in prison. His name will be forgotten. But Jessie's music still plays, her legacy still grows, and her light still burns. This case teaches us something terrifying. Evil doesn't always look like evil. Daniel Bartelt wasn't a stranger lurking in shadows. He was a friend, a collaborator, someone who sat in your living room and held your hand while you grieved. The monsters we fear most aren't the ones with knives in dark alleys. They're the ones who smile in church, who help with homework, who write songs with you on Tuesday and strangle you on Sunday. But this case also teaches us something beautiful. Resilience is louder than violence. Jessie Blodgett lived 19 years. Daniel Bartelt stole one night. And yet, when you search their names, Jessie's light dominates the story. Her music, her advocacy, her family's grace. That's how you defeat a monster, not with revenge, with legacy.